Okay, and here we are at the bottom of page 2, still in section 1.1, so I'm just going to note that so you can tell right at the beginning of the videos. This is where we're at, 1.1, page 2 here on the notes. That doesn't refer to a book page, that just refers to the notes. And now let's take a look at number 38. So just kind of working our way through some translations, and I know this can be a struggle point for a lot of students as we learn to get good at this. It really requires pushing ourselves. It really requires practice. There's no magic way to get good at word translation or word problems. So I'm doing a few more examples than I normally would. We've got 4 on here and then a try problem for you. Let's look at number 38. 3 less than the product of 13 and a number. 3 less than the product of 13 and a number. Do you notice what I did there? I read it a second time. What I want to do for you right now is just give you kind of my little checklist, so to speak, of the way to deal with word problems. And this will help you throughout your math career, not just right now in chapter 1. Read. Don't panic when you see words on a page when you're trying to do math. You know, a word problem you're going to need to translate. Just go ahead and read it. And then take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. Breathe a little deeply. Oxygen to your brain does wonders. Calms you down a little bit, gets that heart rate regulated. Oxygen will start waking up the parts of your brain that you need to focus and get in gear for this. So read, take a nice deep cleansing breath. It's going to be okay. Read it again. If you are in a spot where you can, read out loud. There's something about hearing it as you see it helps unlock a few things. First time I read a word problem or a phrase I need to translate, oftentimes it's just a bunch of jumble. It sounds kind of Greek, you know, to use that phrase. But if you take a time to breathe, read it a second time, things start to pop out at you. You're able to see what you need to do. That's the first step. The next thing is to identify what's the goal here. Now in this case, we're only trying to translate to an algebraic expression. We just need to get that done. Sometimes you're trying to translate and then solve for something. Sometimes the goal is much bigger. It's good to kind of identify that. Right now we're just practicing the translating. And then you start wanting to look for keywords, information that they give you that you can use. Very, very critical. Now what you're going to do with those keywords and information is to change those words to numbers and symbols, or letters. Numbers, letters, and symbols. Okay, so that's going to be really important that you understand that that's the process here. You're going to change the words to numbers, letters, symbols. Okay, numbers, letters, and symbols, all 3 of those things. And you want to do it in an order that makes sense. It matches what they're describing in the situation. And we demonstrated that in the top part of this page in the last video with trying some simple numbers to see if we could understand what they're really asking for before we had to throw the algebra in. So an order that makes sense. And then with any word problem, you're going to want to you know, at this point, if it's something you actually have to solve, you go ahead and solve it or apply the algebra that you need to do. But I'm putting that part in parentheses because we're not there yet. We're just translating to an expression. We are not trying to solve by any means. But we do need to take a moment to look back. Does what we created match what we started with? Very important. This is a good life skill too. Before you leave something and move on, look back. How'd you do? Did it make sense? Did you understand something more than you didn't before? Do you still have questions? It's all part of the look back process. Very important as you grow and learn in your mathematics this term. All right, so that's kind of my steps here. Let's apply them. 3 less than the product of 13 and a number. We read it, breathe. Feels silly, but at the same time it also kind of boosts you, gets you ready. Let's read it again. 3 less than the product of 13 and a number. My goal here, as it's going to be on all of these, is to just create a translation. My goal is to go from words to numbers and symbols. And I should probably throw in there letters, numbers, and symbols. Okay, so that's my goal. I'm not trying to solve. I'm not trying to come up with an answer. I'm just practicing my translation. Okay, so some things now that I've read it twice are starting to jump out to me. Some keywords, some information. Less than is jumping out at me. Product is jumping out at me. These are operational. These are like the verbs of the mathematical language here. I look up at my chart on the top of the page. You can't see it on the screen right now, but on your paper you should be able to see it. Less than actually falls in the subtraction column. Right up here where my pen is kind of pointing to. And product falls under multiplication. So you want to get used to that here. So we're going to be doing some sort of subtraction with that less than and some sort of multiplication. And again, I'm not trying to solve the whole thing at once. I'm not trying to come up with the answer, boom, just go right to it. I'm in the process of translating, so I'm taking it bit by bit, staying calm, not assuming I can't do math, just taking it little bit by little bit, baby steps, so to speak. What else do I know? Well, this 3, this word, I can write that as the number 3, so there's one less word. 3, we're going to be dealing with some subtraction, there's some multiplication, and then we've got 13 and a number. Ooh, I can translate that too. That's going to be my unknown, my variable. X. The book uses X a lot. You'll notice the book kind of defaults to X. Feel free to be creative. Let go a little bit. Make it N for number, or Y, or Q because, you know, you have a favorite pet quail or something, or your favorite TV show is Quincy Jones or something. I don't remember what it was called. I think it was Barnaby Jones and Quincy Adams. But whatever letter will help, you know, make it make sense for you and work for you, that's fine. The book defaults to X, so I do that a lot too in the notes. Okay. So one of the things when there's multiplication, I know I'm going to need 2 things to make that multiplication happen. Something times something else. The cool thing about the word product is you can expect there to be 2 other words to go with it. Product of something and something else. Product of something and something else. And that will actually highlight for you the 2 things being multiplied. So product of something and something else, product of 13 and a number, I've now highlighted what the multiplication will be. 3 less than the product, the multiplication of 13 and a number. Okay, so I've got a product here that's happening. The product, I'm going to be able to replace that word with multiplication of 13 times x, or just 13x. Okay, so that's what the product is going to be equal to. I'm going to be able to replace the word product with 13 times x when it comes time. But what does it mean 3 less than the product? Well, again, let's try some simple numbers here to see if I can figure out what 3 less than a product. Okay, product is something. What if I said 3 less than 7? Okay, I would expect that answer to be what? 4 to be my answer. Well, how do I get 4 using 3 and 7? Is it going to be 3 minus 7? Or is it going to be 7 minus 3? Which one is it? Well, 3 minus 7 doesn't give us 4. That actually gives us negative 4. So we want the 7 minus 3, meaning that the 3 less than came after the number. The 3 less than is going to be subtracted from the product. So we're actually going to take, the product, because we substituted product with just a simple number that would make sense for us, okay? So we're going to now take product minus 3, 3 less than the product minus 3. And what did we already translate the product to be? We said the product was 13x. The product of 13 and a number. 3 less than the product of 13 and a number is going to be product minus 3. What is that product? 13x minus 3. Okay, so you can kind of take this piece by piece. Now some of you will get to the point where you can read it a couple times through and you can translate it. But if you're finding that you're going quickly, not really taking the time to kind of work each piece through on paper in your head, and you're jumping to what you think should be the answer, and you're getting it right, great. But if you're jumping to what you think should be the answer and you're getting it wrong, it's switched around, or you've got a number wrong, or you're missing a piece, you need to go back and take some time to write it out. Now, will it look like mine? Maybe, maybe not. You need to find a process that makes sense to you to get you the right answers consistently. And you'll hear me say that over and over again as we go through this class. Your goal is to find a way that works for you, makes sense to you, and gets you the right answers consistently over and over again. Okay, once you've found that, you are going to fly through this class and your other math classes too, once you find a way to be confident and consistent. Okay, and I can help you with that. And again, if you're struggling at any point, come get help right away. Don't wait. Okay, the longer you wait, the harder it gets. So come early, come get help often, meet with your study groups, find your help resources that work for you and utilize them. Okay, ask for help. You'll be really glad you did. Let's look at number 40. Again, went for some of the simpler ones. This kind of, beginning, medium type translation. This is a little bit more difficult, and then on your try problem, kind of be more middle of the road here. But let's read number 40. The sum of 20 divided by a number, and that number divided by 20. Deep breath. Okay, here we go. The sum of 20 divided by a number and that number divided by 20. I read it again. I remind myself of the goal. The goal here is we want to go from words to letters, numbers, and symbols in a way that it makes sense with the original. Okay, so now I'm going to look for those keywords that are popping out here. Sum is a keyword. That tells me an operation, and looking at the chart at the top, it connects me to addition. We're going to be adding something together, and adding means something and something. Okay, so again, that sum, when you have to add two things or multiply two things or whatever, you're looking for two chunks, and again, that magical word, it's not magical, but it just that, oh yeah, I'm so excited to see that. Sum of something and something. You can expect and to show up as well. Okay, so there's my two adds here. I'm adding whatever comes after the of and whatever comes after the and. Okay, now you see now why this one's a little bit more challenging, because there's a whole bunch of stuff coming after the of. 20 divided by number. And there's a whole bunch of stuff coming after the and. That number divided by 20. Okay, so we have almost a translation within a translation. Okay, so what I've got here is the sum of something and something. So I'm just going to start with that translation here. I'm going to take, so I'm doing a sum here. I'm going to take this first chunk, 20 divided by a number, and that number divided by 20. Okay, so I've kind of done a little bit of the translation here. Okay, now what else keywords are jumping out? Divided by, well, that's division, and again, divided by, and I've got numbers here. A number, let's call that X. That number, meaning we're using the same number again, so we'll call that X as well. The good news with division, even though order matters, when they use the straight word division, 20 divided by something, it literally means that it's 20 division sign and the number. Okay, or in this case, maybe a fraction bar would work here. But we've got 20 divided by X plus that number divided by 20. That number divided by 20. Straight translation there. 20 divided by X plus X divided by 20. Totally fine if you stop there. When you flip to the back of the book, though, you're going to see it written in this format. 20 divided by X using the fraction bar as the division symbol plus X over 20. And there's a reason why. One, it does it a little bit more succinctly. Two, it starts to get us in the mode for what we're going to be studying this term, where our big goal is to get really good at linear equations, understanding the equations that create a line on a graph. And being able to deal with stuff in fraction form is going to be key to that. So you'll notice a lot of movement towards that. 20 divided by X plus the X divided by 20. It's the sum of 20 divided by a number and that same number divided by 20. Okay? So take a moment here now to tell somebody what you saw, even if it's just talking out loud to yourself. Note any questions you might have over in the side or use a highlighter on the page. That'll really help you to see it when you come to class and go, what was it I was struggling with? It pops out to you right now, but after you've done 8, 9, 10, 15 pages of notes, you come to class and it may not pop out to you anymore. So do some sort of highlighting of any questions you have. Make sure you've copied everything you need to copy, rewind as needed, and then we're going to try number 42 here. Pause the video so that you can try it on your own and then come back to check your answer. Okay, hopefully you were able to take some time to try that. Pause it now if you haven't, because I'm going to reveal the answer. Your translation should get you 30 over x plus 4. And again, we'll be doing these try examples in class together as part of our lecture as we cover the lessons. All right, we'll see you on page 3.